I got four of a kind on everything. I gotta live like a king. Hey, catch this rhythm. You feel that? That's called playerism. I'm on the scene, a player clean, poker face, four queens. I got four of a kind on everything. Dig this, living elite, I don't feel complete without kicking at my feet in a Rolls Royce every week. Baby, this is deep. Listen close when I speak. I need to at least, cause I'm too much. I'd be a fool if I love him. You'll be a fool if you trust him. Here with my niggas, we keeping it gangsta. Yeah, I'm a slayer, I'm just keeping it player. I'm fucking her now, we're man eating it later. That's maybe why he is a hater. I'm wearing all black like I'm being a raider. You talk to police, we call you a traitor. I'm running the city, they call me for favors. I'm running the city, they call me the mayor. It's getting political with me, my street presidential, she give me the quit banging my line, ho. Quit banging my line, ho. When you see me act like you don't even know me, ho. When you see me act like you don't even know me, ho. Come on, baby, get a clue. How you do what you do? How do you fall in love with me, but I'm not in love with you? Peace to the saints! Peace to the saints! Peace to the saints! Ho, 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 Merry Christmas! Psych! Well, I like to spread holiday cheer, but let me spread some holiday realness. Some information that you might take with yourself for a lifetime. This holiday season is something that motivates me to take the same reflection I take every year, which is how do I make a greater investment in myself? Not to be selfish, but rather to have a positive self-focus to drive myself toward greater things. And if we look at ourselves as a well holding water, something that's critical for life, something that other people may need. You look at yourself as a well of energy, a well of sustenance. The greater the well, the more you can provide for others, if that is your calling. So how do we invest into the well of ourselves? And also, why do we not invest into the well of ourselves?
We have Ken sent a cash app. He said, peace to the saints and tuition. We'll catch the live later.
Thank you for the support, Ken. Thank you to all of those who feel abundant and are supporting something that has great meaning.
We have JVR said, peace to the saints.
Shout out to JVR. I want to do this lecture every year, and ideally perhaps earlier in the month, before you've squandered $1 or €1 or £1 or a shilling on trinkets. There is nothing wrong with having culture and having holidays and having those whom you would like to love on. The problem in the context of a capitalist society is that sometimes you think you have inclinations or driving forces which are actually not natural to you. They have been conditioned. These driving forces have been developed through marketing, and you're doing something worse, which is follow the follower, not follow the leader, but follow the follower. We're celebrating Christmas, not because we're Christians, but because we are in the mainstream society. We're Muslims celebrating Christians. We're Jews celebrating Christians. We're atheists celebrating Christians or celebrating Christmas. And we're doing all of this just because that's what everybody else is doing, without any thought or plan. And I want to caution you all. I want to caution you because buying trinkets for people who may or may not love you, buying trinkets for people who may or may not ever invest into you is a real waste. In fact, even buying trinkets for those who definitely love you and definitely will invest in you is a major waste. And what I want to encourage you first and foremost is to be good to yourself. We have this 3-sentence Bible. Be yourself, be good to yourself, and then be good to good people. major test number one. I think a lot of folks are forgetting to assess, are these good people I'm investing in? And when I say trinkets, I'm talking about all this money that you gather up and you spend it on your family, your friends, your romantic love interests, not realizing that whatever gift you bought them will probably have minimal impact on their quality of life because it was a trinket, it was jewelry, it was a remote control car, it was an iPad, it was something largely meaningless. And we know it was meaningless because you waited till Christmas to get it. If it was a true urgency, something that was necessary for their productivity or for their life, you would have ponied up the money and got it when they needed it, not when the capitalist calendar said you should get it. And I say that as a capitalist. But one thing I can assure you of is there are a couple lessons in this. Number one, what would happen if you didn't get anyone a gift this year? If you took all of the money you would have spent on trinkets for your friends, your family, your romantic interests, and you took all that money and you invested it in yourself, you invested it in knocking something off of your bucket list, or you invested it in going to a conference, or you invested it in purchasing an online course that's aligned with the skills you're seeking to get the job you want, to secure the income you want for a lifetime. What if you made that self investment in something that's going to have real grand impact? And then the greater question is, why are you scared to make that investment? Why are you quicker to invest in strangers or invest in others before yourself? That is a strange thing about the human psychology. And I remember one thing when I was a child, my mother would always make a big fuss about how much information she would, or excuse me, how much struggle she'd have to go through to provide Christmas gifts for all of the children and all of the people in the family. And I would ask myself in my adulthood, why couldn't you go through all of that work to provide things that were more relevant, like a college trip? I never got to visit the college that I ended up attending because we didn't have the money. But somehow on Christmas, everyone can get their hustle up in the Christmas season to pull together money to buy trinkets. It's psychology, it's the social pressure. And the question is, why can't you exert that same kind of force and pressure on your own psyche to hustle and get what you want?
On Cash App, we have Jonathan said prosperity to all the saints in 2023. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Prosperity to all the saints every minute of every day. And not only that you would have prosperity, but that you would feel it, because so many people, they don't feel abundant. They don't feel generous. And that's a major problem.
We have Maurice said bot behavior going on during the holidays for real. I'm just trying to do these workouts and get to the new year. Business as usual for me.
Yes, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with celebrating, but I'm saying let's be thoughtful about what we do. It's quite strange that the Christians think Christmas is a Christian holiday, not knowing that reindeers and a fat white guy in a red suit have nothing to do with Christianity or any religion. It's pagan in its origins. And in fact, I would say it's heretical and perhaps one of the most disrespectful things to do in the context of religion, is to celebrate Christmas or this pagan holiday. And the other thing that has to disturb us as intelligent men and women is to travel around the world. You'll see people celebrating the same holidays, which doesn't really make sense as we come from different ethnicities with different histories. And we find that we're all being watered down into the same basic mindless bot due to social media and television. It doesn't make sense for me to be in Kenya in East Africa and see people celebrating Halloween. It doesn't make sense for me to be in China and see people celebrating Christmas. Culture is devolving, but also our brains are seeming to go into rapid decline.
We have Tommy said peace to the saints. Happy holidays to you, big homie, and the saints. What are your plans for 2023?
My plans for 2023, I don't think that far out. And what I mean is, at most, I'll make a 20-day plan. I'll go on a 20-day run in the area of health, wealth, and relationships. So I might say something like, in the next 20 days, I'd like to prepare for a boxing match, or in the next 20 days, I would like to earn this amount of money. And then I'll break it out to say how much money that is per day. Or I would like to, reorganize one of my corporations. Um, and then in the area of relationships, I'll probably say something like, over the next 20 days, here are the 3 events I want to go to meet the kind of people who are in my income level, to, be around other people that are successful. Or here are the 3 events I want to go to meet people that are above my income level. I want to go to the Cannes Film Festival. I want to go to the Grand Prix in Monaco. I want to do X, Y, and Z in the Poconos. I want to watch this tennis match at this location. And those activities are rarely for the event. Like, for example, I was in Monaco for the Grand Prix. I don't really care to watch the Grand Prix, but I do care to meet all of the ballers that are there in the Rolls Royce Cullinan, the Bentleys, what have you, and make those contacts. Or you go to Monaco for the yachting event, or what was that one called?
It was the Yacht Expo.
The Yacht Expo, right? I would never want to own a yacht. I don't get the concept of like taking a hotel and putting it on the water so that you can't really go outside and go anywhere. But hey, if that's what wealthy people like to do, I'm there for it, and I'm there to make the contact. And those are the kind of events and experiences that cost money, but they can be life changing. Sometimes you meet an individual man or woman that gives you access to a whole new income strata, or they give you access to ideas, or they become your business partner, but you have to pay to play. You have to pay to get into those environments. When I go to Monaco, and we're spending thousands of dollars per night to stay at Hotel du Berry and be among the right people, and that costs, and it's an investment, but those are the kind of investments that change your life for the better. And those are the type of risks and opportunities that one should embrace. I would rather do that than gather up $500 to $3,000 to spend on trinkets and irrelevant gifts for the people around me. And the truth is, if you don't do that this year or any year, if those people actually love you, they're not going to have their love impacted on whether you peeled out a greenback for them. So this is the very simple-minded thinking of children, and perhaps of females, that you have to do these things to make a display of your love. And I say what?
You go. I was going to
Okay.
say something.
And I say of females because they're often more caught up into what the society is doing or what the community is doing. So as a man, you have to be willing to go against the grain, and you have to be willing to be disagreeable. And I don't say my aforementioned comments to degrade the female, but rather just to acknowledge that even the psychological data indicates that they have lower levels of disagreeableness. They tend to want to go along and get along. And that's a good inclination, generally speaking.
We have Walton said, I am gifting the black box to 2 teens.
Wow, that's powerful. And see, that's a meaningful gift. And if you would like to do the same or get the black box for yourself, you can get the black box at Amazon.com. Type in the black box, Marquett Burton. And that's something that's life changing, the gift of knowledge, the gift that keeps on giving, something that impacts the mind. Radically different than if you buy them a video game, or one of the other silly things we tend to buy during the Christmas season. And Walton speaks of the black box, which is a book that you can read, and you can find out when I last celebrated Christmas, when I gave up on Christmas. Um, we tend to take a lot of things for granted in the society without analyzing the phenomena in general. What is Christmas? What is it about? But more importantly, what is its relevance to me as an individual? And often when people ask me for advice, I ask them about themselves. Well, who are you? Who are you seeking to be? What are your current financial circumstances? What is your current level of education, professional experience? How can we leverage your existing skill set, tools, inclinations to get where you want to be? Because you matter. We have to factor you into this. And often we don't factor you into this. For example, maybe you do want to get Christmas gifts for everyone. In my current financial position, I can do that comfortably without straining. But maybe if you take myself, the same version of me at age 22, I was not in a strong financial position to do such a thing, and I shouldn't. I should consider myself and my own circumstances before I take that decision. That's what a man does. And sadly, we're just following the follower, not realizing that the other guys we're looking at, they don't have a plan. They're not going anywhere. They're not ticking, things off of their bucket list. They think they're going to live forever if you're judging it by the speed at which they're moving toward goals, which is slow to not at all.
We have someone just purchased the jacket, Mark purchased the black varsity jacket.
The black varsity jacket?
His name shared.
Okay.
But we have a black and a red one available.
Oh, yeah. By the way, shout out to the ballers.
Well, first we have Screeches.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going in order. Thank you. We have Screeches said, invest in yourself part 2. I appreciated the subscriber only live on Instagram today.
Absolutely.
Last night, our time.
Yeah.
He said, I hope you do them more often. Peace to the saints. And for those that don't know, there is a subscription mode on Instagram. Marquett does go live. Last night, everyone had to ask questions, and they were all answered.
Absolutely. And the subscriber members on Instagram, and my Instagram is in the description. It's a membership on Instagram, and we do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of downtime stuff, and we get to answer every single person's question. So we did an hour. It's lower attendance, which is great for us to kind of talk one-on-one, and I can ask you about your life. And it was really cool. We talked about product, mindset, travel, all sorts of things.
This segues into it, so you can read this next baller alert.
Baller alert. Sebastian writes, peace to the saints. Yesterday's Instagram live was fire. I've been thinking of product ideas since then. And that is what I'm talking about, saints. When you have certain experiences, and sometimes you got to pay for those experiences, it will change you for the better. Let me give you an example. Isaiah had just sent in a super chat. Isaiah is a young man who was set on fire in terms of ambition. Went from 0 products to I don't know how many products he has now. And he has products on the SaaS, and he has products on Amazon.com, and he's churning them out. Once you've learned a certain skill set, especially one that's benefiting you financially, you will never turn back. You will never look back. You will be forever changed for the better. And that's what you all should be seeking, are those experiences, those pieces of education, those friendships that are going to set you on fire to a new path, in which you'll never look back to that lower path you were on before. One thing you have to ask yourself is, why in my current position do I have self-pity, but not self-investment? Self-pity is the talking. Complaints about why you're in your current state. Self-investment is saying, what can I do to put something into myself so that I can advance? Forget everybody else, so that I can advance. And it's okay to think about yourself. That's the point of what I'm talking about today. It's okay for you to think about yourself. And you have to remember that you have a car. You invest in the car, don't you? You get the oil change, you get the tune-up. We call it maintenance. You might even put on some modifications to improve the car. But what about your mind? Is your mind not a vehicle that gets you from point A to point B? Point B being a success, a goal you have chosen. Yes, you must make an investment into yourself. And the sad thing is, after people get out of university or secondary school, they stop the self-development process. And it's really sad when you think about it, because the government forces you to go to school because they know that the human being is quite unrefined, and they try their best to add something to you. Then after the government's done with you, you just say, hey, I'm done with myself. I'm not going to keep on growing. I'm not going to keep on retooling so that I can be greater. It's a funny thing to me, and I'll never forget it. In our last year, when I did the same lecture, a young man said, Marquett, once I'm done working for my employer, I don't have any energy to work for myself on my own business. And I thought, well, then you're done. You're done. You're done with life. Yes, you're going to be a 9 to 5 until the day you die, because you find someone else's financial goals to be more important than your financial goals. You find someone else's success to be more important than your success. You see, if you have the energy to work for them, but not to work for yourself, that's a problem. And here's the other thing. It's okay to work while you're tired. That's why boxing is an apt metaphor, which is to say sometimes the fighters are tired, yet they're still punching. They're still swinging and they're still ducking the hooks that life is throwing at you, regardless of being tired. Sometimes you got to fight while you're tired. It's okay. Life is like that. But it can get you to victory. And the problem is that we keep ourselves away from victory. Sometimes we might blame it on discrimination, on racism, on sexism, but we haven't picked up the real ism, the ism, which is to say the information and strategy that will take you to the next level. It's so easy for us to talk about our problems. It's a touch harder to talk about our plans on how we get to the next level. One thing I'm happy to say is today I'm in a city I've never been to, a city that's always been on my bucket list. Not always, actually, recently. I watched a documentary about this particular city. The city has rose and fallen. It was thriving and it's died a couple of times. It's a unique city. I've always wanted to come. Not always. I keep exaggerating. I apologize. You see how I like to be accurate? Businessmen like to be accurate. We like to use numbers. Precision is what separates average people from exceptional people. But I've wanted to come to this city and here I am. That's what I wanted to do for Christmas, is see something I haven't seen, get an experience that would inspire me, try to understand how urban planning has destroyed this city, how poor policy decisions in government. I want to try to understand this city. This is interesting to me. And by the way, you know what else is interesting? Ballers. Shout out to the baller. Is this pronounced Hiare or Giare? You'll have to let us know. Peace to the Saints. Marquett, I want to thank you for your investment in young men like me. I've grown immensely from viewing your content. I appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. I have a fight in January. Oh, hands! An amateur bout. Okay. Can you speak on some failures that helped you move forward? Now, do you think he's talking about in boxing?
That's what I would think, yeah.
Okay. Well, I can certainly tell you that going too low in weight class is a bad idea, especially in the amateurs. People do it in the pros, but you have an entire day after the weigh-in to rehydrate and replenish the body with nutrients and vitamins. During the amateurs, you're pretty much fighting on an empty stomach and caloric deficit, and I don't recommend it. So I'm pretty tall, and I got down to 162 pounds, was it?
162, 164, yeah.
162 to 164 for my last fight. And after that fight, which I won, I felt like I was dying. That's not a good feeling. And that was just because I was so on E. I went into the fight exhausted because I'd been working out 3 times a day leading up to the fight to get the weight off and get the water weight off. And then I fought on E. And obviously boxing is exhausting. And so after that, I felt like I was dying. And I realized it's just not necessary. You're not getting a significant competitive edge in the amateurs fighting on E, because what you're losing in strength and tenacity and explosiveness to be the taller fighter is not as advantageous as you would get in the pros when you had time to put your weight back on. So you're going to be weaker. You're going to be woozier. So just don't do that. And also remember, in the amateurs, if you're in good physical condition, you got 3 rounds, high punch output. It's only 3 rounds, man. Beat the snot out of them. Enjoy it. Fight like an animal. It's only 3 rounds. Fight each round like you're trying to die, because 3 rounds is really nothing to a well-conditioned boxing athlete. 3 rounds would probably kill a football player or a basketball player or a track athlete, but 3 rounds ain't nothing to a boss. You dig? Get us some footage. I'm looking forward to it.
We have Ryan said, appreciate your knowledge. Happy holiday to you and your family.
Thank you very much. And when the Saint says family, that's what the holiday is about. The holiday is about spending time with people you love and people you regard. Time, which is really your greatest investment. Sharing some laughs and experience and memories. That's a good time to take a photo, except everyone wants to take a photo when they're in the club in the VIP section. That's what the holiday is really about. It's not about consumption. And I say this as a businessman. People think the holiday is about what you can buy. That's not the case. And sadly, we brainwash our children into this foolishness, because I remember when I was in elementary school, I would go to school the day after Christmas thinking like, oh, I got to wear all my new stuff. And How many days can I go wearing new stuff after Christmas? And, what are the new toys I can bring to school that I got? And obviously, I would always lose at that because I was a poor kid growing up. But all the same, it was a focus, which it really shouldn't have been. And that was a focus that was passed on to me by parents who didn't know any better. And that's why I share this with you so that you might know better. And I always appreciate those of you who have children and you share this good information with your children and you share our culture with your children. We have the Keep It 100 challenge, and one of the saints, Damien, tagged me, and he was doing his 100 push-ups in the morning, and his children were doing their 100 push-ups, which is a good practice to teach discipline to children, to teach them that there's some things that you need to do regularly for your own health and for your own goodness.
So we typically read $6 and above, but you just mentioned people pretty much wasting times in clubs, and I know you like congratulating people on success.
Yes.
So DGC Soldier said, "Peace to the Saints. I've attained top-ranked cloud computing certs in the last week, while people think I should be at the club buying random women drinks. A shame."
Right, buying strangers drinks. It's funny, and the comedy is that many of those women go there under the idea that they will accept free drinks, free to them, right, from a number of men whom they have no intention of dealing with, and it's pure usury.
Okay, we have Rick on PayPal said, "Peace to the Saints tuition.
Peace to the saints.
I know you don't celebrate Christmas, big homie, but wishing you and your family happy holidays. To you as well, Bridget, the support staff, and all saints and lady saints. Long live the assassin."
Long live the assassin. And I do enjoy holidays in the Christmas spirit. There are some aspects of it that are tainted by the low nature of certain human beings. I encounter a lot of folks in the service industry during my travels, of course, from valet to baggage check, or what are they, bellman,
Yeah.
and all this stuff. And I always give good tips. But what I noticed during the holiday season is that it's like they're saying Merry Christmas to engage a greater tip, but I could see the insincerity there. I could see that you got a person who's saying this to try to angle for a greater tip, and it's just disheartening because there's a lack of realness and a lack of sincerity in that. It's like you don't really care anything about me or even anything about doing your job well. You're just trying to make an extra buck so that you too can get screwed over at a greater level during this Christmas season so that you can buy more irrelevant things. And it saddens me to be a part of that process where there's no sincerity. And I've said this many times, and those who really know my nature know this to be true. If I was a bellman or a valet guy or whatever my job is, I'm trying to execute my job with excellence because it's my job, because it's what I've chosen to do or what I am doing. And I want to remind all of you that if you choose to do something, it should be worth your time. It should be worth you doing it. Hence, based on the activity itself, you should choose to do it with excellence. And if you're not going to do it with excellence, don't do it. Do something else. If you're too good for that job, do a different job. And it's okay to say, I am too good for this job, this circumstance, this relationship, this person, this woman, this friendship, even this family, whatever the case is. Like, you get to choose your life. So often we yield to circumstance. You can change your circumstances.
We have OH sent tuition.
Shout out to OH, and thank you to those who are supporting the work.
None of the above said tuition. My goal for 2023 is improving my relationships. How can I make the most of a medium-sized city in terms of meeting women and people in general with a 60-hour work week plus gym time? Happy holidays.
Firstly, and Noam Chomsky said this, so anytime you hear something, you should ask, is that true? Which is to essentially question assumptions. And number one, if there's something that you don't like, you should always try to change it, right? Improve it, that is. So firstly, I would analyze this idea about the 60-hour work week. I would say, okay, what is my current age? Does this work schedule make sense for my current age, position, and goals? Why am I working 60 hours? How much money is that yielding me? So say it's yielding me 50,000 per annum or 100,000 per annum, whatever it's yielding you. And then say, well, how can I earn this amount of money while reducing my work hours? Is it a different job title within the same company? Is it a different company? What are the things I can do to modify this if the 60-hour work week is too much? And it might be, I don't know. Frankly, when I was really hustling, 60 hours was about comfortable. It wasn't a strain. but that also depends on your age, right? Like in your early 20s, you should have energy, right? You should be able to work 60 hours, no problem, especially if it's a labor of love. Then, secondly, when you talk about gym time and meeting high quality women or people in general, you have to ask yourself, how can I have integration in my life? Which is, for example, when I lived in San Francisco in Pacific Heights, I think it was called Pacific Heights Health Club, Pac Heights Health Club, which is to say that I could go to, some random gym like LA Fitness or 24-hour Fitness, where the membership is, $20 to $50 a month, or I could go to Pacific Heights Health Club where the membership is like $300 a month. And it's a better investment for me because now I'm at the gym and I'm meeting women who are more attractive. I'm meeting guys who are more wealthy. There's a spa there, there's a chiropractor there, and there's greater opportunity. So I'm maximizing my hour. My hour in the gym is spent around people who are worth meeting more so than the people at LA Fitness, where you're likely to get into a fist fight during a pickup basketball game. And that's how you're always thinking about your time and your dollar, which is, how do I get more out of it? How do I get more money out of 60-hour work week? Or how do I maintain my income while reducing the work week from 60 hours down to 40 hours, which is, more so in line with general standards in the American economy.
We have Little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy
said, how would you deal with a girl that flaked on your date last minute, but you still want to smash? Continue to be aggressive?
No, because a chick who flaked on you, and this is with very little context, if she flaked on you, that's generally an indication that either she doesn't have high interest or that she thought she had a better opportunity at that moment. People who flake are generally low quality people. And every now and then there might be a legitimate reason that someone can't make a date. Maybe their mother or father was lost their life right before your date. But there are not many reasons for a person to flake. But if that were the case, a person who's sincere is going to, one, let you know in advance, as much in advance as they can. And number two, they're going to immediately say, hey, let's get this rescheduled for this date and time. They're going to be proactive in getting that rescheduled. If it's a chick you still want to smash, you want to stay in contact, whether it's like, hey, stay in touch on Instagram, let her keep watching you on IG like it's television and get her worn down over time and keep that connection. But you don't want to continue being too proactive with it, because at the end of the day, she doesn't have that level of interest. So you might just be investing more time and more energy and resources into something that's not going to be productive. So what I would do is I would start asking myself, okay, what did I like about the girl? Is she super thick, or she got a nice rack on her? Whatever that was, turns out that there's millions of women on the planet Earth. I'd go find one with a better rack, a better wagon, and then I start getting to work on that. Because often when we get hung up on one opportunity, it's because it was the only opportunity. And that's why you have to keep on working and keep on earning, which is to say, talking to 3 women a day so that you got what's called options, or, having 3 income streams so that your money machine never gets shut down. Yeah, but I'd keep her in there and I'd throw a couple shots at her every now and then, but I wouldn't press it. And I, more importantly, wouldn't have many expectations, because she's already indicated to you that she's a dirtbag, and that might not have anything to do with you. It just has everything to do with her and her poor upbringing and her low class and mindset.
Okay, on Cash App, we have George said, thank you for these words of wisdom. Peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
Dion said, peace to the saints. Keep grinding, saint, and happy holidays.
I'm gliding. I'm damn near. I'm floating. I'm flying. It's easy. Ain't no grinding over. I haven't grinded in years.
St. Ivan said, peace to the saints. Sending tuition to the big homie, and shout out to Saint Named Greatness. Hashtag support the saints. So Saint Named Greatness is the one with the black varsity jackets.
Yes. And the black varsity jacket, I was definitely sporting that one in Bogota, Colombia. So you guys have certainly seen that before. And I like both of them. They're reverse colors and different materials, actually. And they're both really, really cool pieces. You will get compliments.
They're both on thesassin.com.
THESASN.com.
Okay. We have Drug Hour sent $50.
Baller alert.
He said, peace to the saints. Question, Quet. I wanted to ask you, since we failed at the velvet sweatshirts the last time, can I send you $800 cash right now to try with you again? Or do I have to schedule a consultation? Or is one of the saints trying to make it work?
So number one, we didn't fail at it, and it's good to hear from you, drug hours. Number we didn't fail at it. We just did not secure the right manufacturer to get the job done, which is not failure. I mean, sometimes things take more time, or you just have to keep hunting down the right manufacturer, or you go into a different or better opportunity. So in the case of the velvet shirt, it's ironic that you mentioned that. I don't know if you were on the member only live on Instagram last night, but I was literally talking about trying to find a manufacturer for that piece, which has been difficult to find a high quality velvet manufacturer. And it's really just a matter of standards. I could have put out a velvet shirt with different manufacturers many times, but the standard is not going to be what I want it to be. And when I'm talking about the standard, like I'm always thinking about the small things that matter to people with money, you dig? People who have options. So it's called ribbing, like around the wrist and around the collar of a shirt. It's called ribbing. I need a certain quality ribbing that's as fine as the velvet itself. And those have been the things that have been difficult to get. So number one, I commend you on your ambition to get a product cracking. And number two, with regards to the velvet shirt, we still don't have a great manufacturer, so I wouldn't say send the cash because the deal can't get done right now. So we might look at doing a different product. So that's how I would be looking at it right now. I wouldn't even feel right saying yes, send it. The manufacturer is good to go because we don't have a manufacturer that's good to go. So we kind of still be going through the whole process. And also, I want to give everyone who's watching some indication that number one, this guy is ambitious, and that's what you want to be. You want to be ready to pull the trigger and get things done, number one. And then number two, when you go to someone who wants to or go to someone for advice, you need to know that people who are too excited to accept your money, they're dishonest people, or people who say that they know about things that they don't know about, they're dishonest people. You want to go to the person who says, I'll accept your money if I can actually return some value to you, or I'll accept your money if I have expertise in something. But if someone can't get the job done and they're willing to tell you that, that's a good sign that you might be talking to someone who has the skill set, has the knowledge, and most importantly, has the integrity.
Okay, we have Major Mind and Soul.
Mind you, I just pulled, there's a psychopath in the chat that I just pulled out. So we need you to sharpen up a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm up on the.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
You. Major Mind and Soul said tuition. My goal for 2023 is to not have goals based on the fact that it's a new year. I'm working to prosper as quickly and effectively as possible. Also, my son will be born any day now. Peace.
Wow. Congratulations. That's big. That's a major life goal of many people. So I'm happy to hear that. And we all congratulate the gentleman on continuing the lineage. He's having his son really soon. That's a beautiful thing.
None of the above is back. He said, I'm in my late 20s or I'm close to 100K. Okay. The extra 20 hours is for my own startup that I'm making $0 from.
Okay.
LA B-ball cats or something else.
Exactly. Well, then that's all good. You're on the right track. And, that extra 20 hours for your own startup. And number one, 20 hours sounds like a lot. I'd be curious as to, the exact stages, but, we could get into that as appropriate. But when you're working on something of your own, 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours, doesn't really matter because you're getting an education, you're getting a true MBA. And more importantly, you should be enjoying it. And that's one of the things that I missed out on as I was building businesses early on, is that I was so obsessed with making money that I wasn't enjoying it, forgetting that the process is a part of life. Life is not the outcome when you achieve the goal. Now I'm living life. No, life is the whole way through. And another thing that one of the psychopaths reminded me about that I want to let you all know is you have to enjoy everything. You have to enjoy the success, the ups, the downs, and even the downs really are not downs. And what I mean by that is with more success, you'll have more people who are jealous. And you see these people in the comments, like really mentally ill people, but you have to appreciate them. And you might even thank them sometimes because they're just a verification of your status and of your stature. Because when I think back to, not being successful, I couldn't really pick out 4 or 5 people who were jealous of me or negative. And now I could easily do. You throw a stone and you might hit one of them. And it's an important thing to understand that that's what success comes with. jealousy and hatred and misunderstanding. And when I say misunderstanding, it's the people who are locked in poverty because they're locked in a fixed mindset. You have a growth mindset, they have a fixed mindset, and they have misunderstanding of how you got to where you got. And because of that, they'll accuse you of cheating. They'll accuse you of like doing things that are immoral so that they can make an excuse as to why they're in a low position. And never in life have I seen jealousy just so bare, but it's increasing in this era. One, because people are showing off more. They show everything they do on social media. And number two, because people are shameless, because the broken culture we have in the West today is now one of such wickedness, right? Like we lie about equality when there's no such thing as equality. We talk about socialism, which is the idea of bringing everyone down to the same level. We talk about socialized medicine and all these things as though they're good things when in reality they're not. And so we actually promote jealousy, not realizing it, because promoting the idea of equality is generally the concept of jealousy, which is to say, oh, this guy's up here, let's bring him down so that he's on par with everyone else who's low. Often it's not about bringing people up, it's about bringing the high people down. Because in the context of the American society, the people who are low, they're still not that low. Because if you've traveled to Addis Ababa, if you've traveled to Albania, if you've traveled to a lot of places, you've seen real poverty. There is no real poverty in America. Our homeless people are vegans. They have dogs. They can afford to support other life forms. It's quite strange. So what we're really talking about is engaging in class warfare through the nature of those wicked persons who would want to bring other people down due to their jealousy. And that's something you guys got to watch out for. And that's why I always encourage you to avoid people who are ugly and broke. And secondly, only be around good people. Be good to good people. Good people want to see you successful. They're happy when you're winning. They're never jealous of you. And they feel like when you win, they win. When they see you shining, they're shining. That is a rare bird, and that's the only kind of bird you should ever want to be around. And the funny thing is that people are shameless nowadays in their jealousy. I see people display their jealousy, and I'm perplexed as to why they don't feel any shame about it. And you're
I have a super
go ahead then.
Nicaragua was saying it's in the Cash App. He said, my question is in the comments. It is on the screen. He said, just started a new job before I leave for the Army in a month. Spotted, it's supposed to say turbo thick one.
Yes.
Do you recommend I get the number or build up rapport first? Peace to the saints. So he's leaving in a month.
Bruh, you got a month. Put all gas, no brakes. Let's go. I don't care what's going on. Get her in the break room. Let's get it going. You got a month, bro. That's a short amount of time. You need to speed through this one. And it doesn't matter what happens because you up out of here anyways. You're going to the Army. Look, I need you all to be ambitious about what you're doing, especially when the clock is ticking. And the clock generally is always ticking. And you never lose for being too ambitious. You generally lose from tiptoeing. Don't tiptoe. Don't do what average people do. They're doing the wrong thing. Trust me. And the true comedy is that they don't realize they're doing the wrong thing. And to the point about jealous people and haters, and that's a synonym for average people. That's a synonym for common people. Check this out. When you want to move out of the neighborhood that you grew up in, they might call you a sellout. Why? Because you're a sellout? No, because you're able to do something they can't do. They can't afford to move out of the neighborhood. You can. They put a negative term on you because you're doing something they can't afford to do or something they're scared to do. They don't want to move away from all the people they've grown up with and live among people who are strangers until they get to know them. And so they put these names on you to limit you, which means to hold you down to where they are. Don't be held down by the mindset of average people. Don't be held down by the mindset of underperformers. Be hyper ambitious about what you do. And in fact, count your attempts as a win. To attempt it is to win at it. Losers look at something and say, oh, did I achieve what I was trying to achieve? No, I lost or I failed. No, if you tried, you won. Because in that process, you got education to make another go at it. And unless you die, you generally get to try again. Only in school do you take the test, you fail it, it's all done. In life, you get to keep on trying until you win. And in a game like that, someone like me can always win because I ain't going to quit. I'm not throwing in the towel. Your boy going to go hard.
Okay, we have Tommy's back. He said, a girl that I was previously interested in smashing that wasn't interested in me has now started to show me attention now that I have a girlfriend. How would you go about this, big homie?
Number one, she's a dirtbag, and we all know she's a dirtbag. Firstly, you want to make sure that she's serious, which means I would press her physically in person very aggressively, because women and psychopaths and immature beings like children and babies, they thrive on attention, and they'll try to milk you for your attention and give you nothing in return. And so that she's not using you, which all signs indicate that she's trying to use you for some psychological one up on your girlfriend, I would give her no attention at all, no feedback, no responsiveness until I see her in person. And when I see her in person, I would press her ultra aggressively physically, which is to say, show me that it's real or get up out of the way. That would be your best move.
Okay, we have Dylan bought the black varsity jacket.
Shout out.
We have Austin in a cash app. He said, winners lose more than losers have even tried. Peace to the Saints.
Correct. Winners lose more than losers have even tried. That is correct. We keep shooting up them shots.
Carry on.
All right, all right. And this is actually a part of a lecture series, and I know you generally wouldn't want to call it a series if you only do it once a year, but it is a series, and I'm going to do this one till the day I die, because it'll be important till the day we go. And that's because human beings require reminder. Yes, we require a reminder. Our muscles become soft if we don't use them.
And Screech just reminded people $6 is about to get a question answered. If you sent some money, you can just send the difference, but we just have to keep it fair. We say $6 and above.
Indeed. Indeed. One of the things that I want you to be mindful of, and I kid you not, if I'm on the telephone with my mother and then she starts to say something negative, I end the phone call. I don't just hang up on her, but I'll say, oh, hey, it was nice talking to you. And she eventually came to realize that I always end the phone call if she says something negative, negativity to include gossip about our family members, gossip about whoever she encountered when she was grocery shopping or running errands or at the post office. I can't entertain it because it doesn't add up to anything. You should always be asking yourself, what is the profit in this? Profit doesn't always have to be dollars, but there should be some profit if you choose to do something or spend your time. And one thing I've observed about people who are underperforming, and underperforming generally to me means standing still in general, and especially if standing still, it has you standing in a low place. People who are in a low position, they always have a lot to say about things they can't change. The weather. Oh, they talk about the weather endlessly. The taxes. They're not about to write their congressman. They just want to complain. Or the war in Ukraine, or fill in the blank. They always have a lot to say about things they cannot change. And this is what constitutes conversation for an average person, which is an underachiever. They talk about the things they cannot change, but they never talk about the things they can change, because that would require an effort on their part, and that would require them to be measured. They don't want to make an attempt because they're scared to fail. They don't want to make an attempt because they really don't believe in themselves. They don't want to make an attempt and actually do something different because it's easy to do the same thing you've always done. You'll never have better things unless you make a better effort. You'll never have things better than the people around you unless you do better than they do, or at the very least, do something differently than they do.
Unbounded Reality said, I may have to get a new car. I've been debating on financing a new car or just getting a used car so I won't have payments. What do you think?
So this depends on your financial picture, number one. And then number two, it depends on your outcome for the car. And this is what I mean. For example, if your outcome for the car is, I would like a car that serves a psychological purpose for myself, meaning I want to pull up and people are like, whoa. Like you want that feeling, that's what you're trying to buy in the car, then if that's the case, you're going to get a very expensive car. And if you want that feeling to be persistent, then you're going to need to change cars every 4 or so years. So you have something new, and it's going to continue to get that wow factor. If that's the case and you're planning on changing cars every 4 years, then perhaps you might be best suited to lease the car. A car is not an asset, it's a liability, which is to say, when you keep an asset for a long time, it'll generally grow in value. Cars, you keep them a long time, they're not growing in value. There's just a few, like if you have an antique Rolls Royce, for example, or if you have an i8, which is a car that was discontinued and has unique features like non-standard doors, and it's an exotic hybrid, first of its kind in BMW, is the most expensive car they've ever put into production. That kind of a car is going to eventually start gaining value as an asset. But a typical car that you might buy, it's going to lose value. So you lease it, you give it back to the people once you've done 3 years, and you get something cooler that's going to continue your wow factor. If your mere point is to get from point A to point B, then you want to buy a very reliable, low-cost car that's known for, not breaking down and not requiring a lot of maintenance, which would bar a lot of American cars. You'd probably want to look at a Honda that's not too old and buy it used for cash and try to keep it as long as you can if the only point is to get from point A to point B. You really need to understand yourself.
Okay, we have Wade said, "You're preaching about the process. When I received my degree and walked across the stage, my first thought was, this is it. I should have enjoyed this a lot more."
Right.
And to the Saint, I think he's talking to Nicaragua Saint, he said, "You better hit the gas like Fast and the Furious."
In a real way. And Wade brings up a good point, because sometimes we don't realize what season of life we're in after university. And I remember during university, I was thinking, man, this is drudgery. Like, this is sometimes lonely, often boring, and sometimes challenging. I didn't realize I'm living on a big little island with a bunch of people who are all in the same age range. We're all beautifully young and healthy. There's a bunch of single women around me. There's parties almost every night. I didn't realize what time it was. It was a good time, but I didn't quite realize that as much as I should have. Then you get out of university, and all of a sudden you're not among people who are only in your age range. Dating is a touch harder. Now you're measured by your income, whereas in university, you're just measured by like who you present yourself to be. You're all at the same level because you're all in the same university. Now we've gone into income stratification after university, and woman's judging you on what you can buy, or do you own a house, or what's your trajectory, and things are different. And you realize university was the easiest part of my life, but while you were in that part of life, you were not aware. And that's why I encourage men especially to know what time it is, know what season of life you're in, and enjoy it regardless of the season. But particularly if you're in university, you're in probably what will be the easiest season of life for you. How easy is it to study for a test when the whole semester was about the test? The coursework, the lectures, the homework, the assignments, they were all about the midterm. You should be able to ace the midterm. I'll tell you something comical about real life. When the test comes in real life, you didn't get a heads up. Oh, cancer diagnosis. There was no heads up. You heard me? Came out of nowhere. Car accident. You did not get a warning about that. So you have to realize that when you're in the easy part of life, you should really be enjoying it. But here's the kicker. Even during the difficult part of life, you should also be enjoying that. And you get to choose to be a positive person and have a happy life. Like me, I have a really happy life. I'm a very positive person. And I'm going to enjoy no matter what the circumstances are. If the circumstances are multi-millions, I'm going to enjoy. If the circumstances are thousands, I'm going to enjoy. If the circumstances are zero, I'm going to enjoy. And you can tell the measure of the person by what comes out of their mouth on a consistent basis. And you guys have watched me for years. You'll see people in the chat, rarely, but you'll see some mentally ill people in the chat, and they have such angry, negative things to say, or they make videos deriding other people constantly. These are unhappy people. They're failing at life. If you're generally mad and unhappy or saying negative things, you are failing at life. So I want you to be able to police yourselves, which is to challenge yourself. How can I speak well of myself? How can I speak well of others? How can I speak light into people? How can I be someone that people want to be around to hear a good word of inspiration and learn from my example? That is the ever-present challenge, especially for a man, as you should be a leader.
Okay, we have Craig sent $50 on Cash App.
Baller alert.
He said, "Peace to the Saints. Been a while paying overdue tuition."
That's what's up. Shout out to Craig.
Okay, we have anti-T27 said peace to the saints. This is a bit off topic, but what is your thoughts on Charleston White? I'm not sure who that is, but someone did share you've done a live on him before.
I
Check
did.
it out.
I did indeed. Do check it out. It might not be public for members actually,
You mean
or
public
public for. It might not be available for the public. It's certainly available for members. So that's probably why you haven't seen it, but you can check it out, patreon.com/the Saint in the Center. And that link is in the description. And we invite you to join the family if you haven't already. It'll put you among a strong group of men and women. And in short, Charleston White is a person who has some wisdom to share, um, and is probably mostly hyped up on the pursuit of fame and fortune, but he does share some wisdom, and he's certainly a first-rate entertainer, and I appreciate that.
Okay, we have YKN Cope said tuition peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints.
Nicaragua Saint came back on Cash App. He said truly an inspiration saint, more tuition.
Appreciate that. Shout out to Nicaragua Saint.
We have St. Michael said, I remember this message from last year. I had a smile on my face changing a tire in the cold on the longest bridge in the USA. Never felt more alive. Peace to the saints.
That's a beautiful thing to share, Saint. And that just lets us all know that life is a choice. You know, how you react to things is a choice. It has been said that when it snows, some people die in the snow. They freeze to death. And other people ski in the snow. They have fun. You dig? They figure out what we can do with this. And that is something that makes it clear on the quality of a man. And I want to remind you guys that you'll find a man's integrity in his honesty. And we're in an era where there's so much dishonesty, and you have to be cautious of it. You know, people purport to know things that they don't know. You hear people speculate on Donald Trump's wealth. No one knows how wealthy Donald Trump is or isn't. But one thing we can assess from the outside is he's doing very well. So while you have broke people who want to guesstimate what his wealth is, it's because they don't have wealth themselves. They don't have businesses to manage themselves. So they make guesstimates trying to deride a guy who's very wealthy. And just think about how silly it is. He's busy being wealthy, and the losers are busy trying to calculate how much wealth he does or doesn't have. What you should calculate is that he has beautiful children. He has a strong family. He has a majorly important name around the world. And he has enough money to do things that the people who are talking about him can't do. And that's what matters. So you always have to ask yourself, am I in the bleachers in life, the bleachers watching the game, talking about the game, or am I on the field running into the touchdown zone? You dig? Am I trying to get a TD? That's what you should be asking yourself. Am I a bleacher boy, or am I a man on the field? Get on the field. Yes. Someone writes, when it rains, it pours. Not exactly sure what he's applying that to, but I can tell you that, yeah, when it rains, it pours. And also know that it's not always raining everywhere. It might be raining one place, but it's not raining somewhere else. And let's talk some boss talk. You know, if I'm somewhere and it starts raining, I'm booking a flight. You dig? I'm booking a flight. I'm going somewhere where there's no snow, no rain. I'm going exactly where I want to be. And I don't care where it is on the planet Earth or what the ticket's costing. I'm leaving today or tomorrow. That's pretty much how it's going to go. In fact, where I am right now, I did the most horrible job at packing because I didn't take much time in advance. But it's okay, because if I need something, I'll just buy whatever it is I need while I'm here. And so I just want to say, when it's raining, it's not raining everywhere. There's always somewhere that's winning. And I remember when I was running my tech company and I was invited to China by the government, and they were touring me around many cities there. I was astounded at how many cranes were in the sky. They were building, and I was thinking, this is remarkable because America's not building at all. America has tremendous deficit, and while you have some places that are depressed, the economy is down, the leadership is poor, you still have other places where the economy is thriving, the leadership is strong. Go where the winning is occurring. And that's what I'm telling you guys. It's like when I say invest in yourself to eat at the better restaurant if it's going to give you the more beautiful woman or the better networking. Invest in yourself to go on the vacation that's going to put you around bosses and ballers. You dig? Yeah, man. Like there's a video someone sent me on YouTube and it said like where wealthy people go to socialize. And I watched the video and a number of the places it named are places that I go to. And I was pleased with myself for making the right decisions, putting myself in position. And I want to let you guys know there are levels of wealth to where there are things that you just don't know about because you haven't had that level of wealth. And it's a beautiful thing. Go find out about those experiences. Like some people, a lot of people have stayed in hotels, but they don't know what a turn down service is. That's because there's a certain level of luxury to where you get a turn down service, which is to say the maid staff comes into the place 2 times a day. The second time they come in, just to turn down the sheets on the bed, to set out a pair of slippers, his and hers on each side, to put 2 chocolates, and to change out the flowers every day, fresh flowers. That's something you just might not know about if you've not lived on a certain level. There are things like that, and you should be seeking to figure that out and learn about those things and enjoy life at that level. And you'll never do that while you're obsessed with what other people are doing or even obsessed with what other people are saying. And guess what? Most people who have something to say about you, they don't know, they're lying, and they're just jealous. And what you should be doing is not trying to stop them from saying what they're saying. You should be trying to give them more to say. You should be hopping on more jets, more private flights, doing more baller things so they got something to talk about. Because at the end of the day, a player hater requires a player. You got to keep it player so that these haters have something to hate on, so they could be a player hater and fulfill their job title. Be a player. Hat linked in the description, by the way. You did keep it P out here.
Hey, Craig sent $50 earlier. He just came
And
back.
by the way, for the haters, I spend more money on water every month than you spend on your car note, maybe even on their rent in some cases. In some cases.
Some of them for sure.
Yeah, in some cases, more on water than you spend on your rent. Shout out to the haters. I'm just here to get you mad. Go ahead.
Okay, Craig has already sent $50. He came right back with another $50.
Word to Big Bird. Baller alert. Shout out to them ballers that's just letting them hang right now.
And this time he said, may these mindset lives be immortalized. Peace to the saints.
Yes, yes. And what you guys don't realize is that when I present something to you, it's coming from a base of knowledge and experience, but I'm also taking out time to make sure that it's refined wisdom, or that if it's comedy, like I wrote it out. And that's why sometimes people are like, hey, why don't you do this kind of show? It's because the show's not appreciated at the level at which it should be appreciated given the work that's involved. So for example, we had the Tyler Doucheberg series, which we did 2 times. You watch, it's an hour. You're going to laugh the whole hour. So I've written an hour worth of jokes at the level that you're going to watch a Dave Chappelle special. Now, it's not as funny as Dave. We ain't going to lie like that. It's not as clever as Dave. We ain't going to lie like that. But you're laughing for a whole hour, which is what you would do with a Netflix comedy stand-up bit. And I'm as funny as what was the little dude? Kevin Hart. And I've seen him live, front row. He aight. He funny. He aight though. His jokes are not very like deep or clever, but I say that to say this. You'll watch an hour-long stand-up special on Netflix. They have writers that they've hired. Even if it's Kevin Hart or Chris Tucker or Chris Rock, they have a team of writers who write jokes for them. You might not have known that. They got a team of writers, and that's how they're able to perform for an hour. Even Mike Epps, whom I've met and hung out with, they've done all of this work to provide you an hour of humor and comedy, and then they get paid at the Netflix level. I do it, and then I do it. People laugh the whole way. You see people in the comments, this is the funniest stuff I've ever seen, but they didn't support the work. So yeah, I'm not going to do it again because it's like so much work. Come on now.
Okay, we have Anthony said, would you say you became better in the tech business and more articulate through your education or your actual experience?
A lot of people who have been, well, first off, people in tech generally are not very articulate, especially on the engineering side of things. They're not articulate and they generally lack social skills. It's an engineering personality. And it also seems like they don't even really want to deal with human beings, which is fair. Algorithms and computer programs are predictable. And if they have bugs or deficiencies, you can fix them. Human beings are woefully broken, generally speaking. That's number one. In terms of being articulate, you will not learn to be articulate in university, in primary or secondary school. That's something you have to choose to do. And the funny thing is that there are very few people who are articulate or eloquent. So you really aren't having the opportunity to learn from those persons. The best thing you can do is if you know someone personally like that, to be around them. And then secondly, watch the greats like a Winston Churchill, a Barbara Jordan, a Martin Luther King, a Malcolm X, and Adolf Hitler. These people who do extraordinary things with speech and manner. Those are the folks you really need to learn from. You can even do a Toastmasters course, but I was better at public speaking than anyone you could find in Toastmasters when I was 16. I was a 16-year-old public speaker that could outperform any Toastmasters club. And that's because they're so formulaic. You know, they're going to teach you hold your hands like this and then like do this and then pan this way when you talk, pan this way and do this every now and then and do, you know, it's so formulaic that they rob you of any individuality and any flavor. So utilize the recommendation I just gave you, and I think that'll be your best go at being a powerful and impactful speaker. But as you've probably heard me say previously, is talking about it ain't as good as walking it, which is to say delivering the goods. And being articulate has quite minimal ROI. After all, Donald Trump is a decently powerful speaker, but he's not a significant orator. Neither is Joe Biden. Certainly, George Bush was not. And we can go down the line of leaders of the most powerful country in the world and find that very few of them were exceptional in terms of their speech. They were exceptional in delivering the goods, but very few exceptional in terms of their speaking ability. Might have to break this up into a part two because I feel like I really want to get back on this topic because I'm serious about this. I might even mess around. It's Christmas tomorrow.
Yeah.
Might even, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're ready with a yeah. It's Christmas tomorrow?
I think so.
Oh, I think so. Okay, got you. Look, and I agree with Walton. He said Mr. Hart is not funny, respectfully. Yeah, he has that goofy comedy, but it's rarely intellectually stimulating. Dave Chappelle will make you laugh and make you think. And he's also been clever enough to be able to say things that most people who want to keep their job don't feel comfortable saying, but he can wrap it in enough humor that it's palatable. So there you go. Anyways, I'll give you guys some time to send in your thoughts, questions, comments, or tuition if you feel like supporting the work. And we'll wind down from there. And I think I will do a part two on this one.
Maybe on Christmas.
Maybe on Christmas, aka
Whenever
tomorrow.
that might be.
Yes. Oh yeah, and to those who celebrate, you know, happy. I was about to say happy birthday, Merry Christmas,
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy whatever you celebrate. You dig? Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, what have you.
Austin is back on Cash App. He said they hear this verbal velvet but still hate crazy.
That's right. And, you know, we need them. We need them. And one thing that I've grown to be thankful for is that as a winner, I realize that we need losers. You know, they serve a meaningful purpose. And so anytime you see a loser in the comments, you know, let's thank them. Hey, thank you for being a loser. We appreciate you. We really need you. You serve a critical piece of the society, which is to say, I can't be on top unless you're on bottom. We do need you. So may I, from my heart, thank all of the haters who have shown up to watch the big homie shining, to watch the Canaries dancing. You dig? You know, shout out to those who have shown up to watch me keep it P. Hat linked in the description. We appreciate every last one of you.
It's been their free time watching you and making videos about
well,
you.
their free time is of low value, but yes, we will take it. We will appreciate it. And I do want to speak to birthdays since he mentions losers. It reminds me of birthdays, and one of the reasons you see harlots and underachievers get so hyped up about their birthday is because it's the one time per year that they get acknowledged and celebrated. And most people are me monsters, narcissists. And so, of course, they're Jews for anything about them. But we have to understand the underlying dangerous psychology of this. And you don't want to condition your kids around this concept, which is that we should celebrate you because you're alive. That's essentially what a birthday is. You're alive. We're going to celebrate you for being alive another year. Well, it turns out that we're all alive. And it also turns out that so are the rats, the snakes, the dogs, the ants. They're alive too. We should not celebrate people because they're alive, for that is a very low level. What we should do on the birthday is use that as a reflection to look back on your past year of life and say, what have I done? Like, what has Marquette brought to the world in the last year? And it should be a time for your friends and family to come together, damn near need a PowerPoint and say, here were some of the goals you set. Here were some of the things you achieved. Here's how you impacted me. It should be a reflection. The people around you reflecting on, here's how you impacted me in this last year of your life. I want to say thank you for what you did. I'm not going to give you a gift because you're alive, but I want to give you thanks and affirmation, or we understand what your goal is moving forward. And I want to pledge my support for X, Y, and Z. That is going to make sense. But just to say, I'm going to give you a balloon and some trinkets because you're alive, this is silliness. And this is something that dim-witted Instagram thoughts love. And this is something that underachieving men love because they don't ever work intelligently enough to be celebrated based on their merit.
Kate Vilkin said, Marquette, I work full-time, 40 hours a week, 6 to 7 hours of sleep, 2 hours in the gym, trading, pumping out YouTube content. How do I work hard like you with minimum of sleep or no sleep days? Is it mental or actual physical?
So I really want to point out to you all that we are different. Now, I'm not saying myself and Vilkin, but I'm saying we all individuals. I've only ever met one other man who can operate on my sleep schedule effectively. His name is Andrew Coy. I think I might have mentioned him in my book, The Black Box. In fact, I did. So check it out. But most people can't operate on our sleep schedule. There are times that Bridget's been around me and she said, look, bruh, you don't need to sleep, but I do. So I'm out. Like, look, I catch you on the flip side. And that's important for you to know what your body requires to operate at efficiency. I hear that most people require about 8 hours. I've observed that females generally require more sleep than men. And I have also observed that everyone requires more sleep than I do. I don't know what has wired me this way, but I don't recommend you try to use my sleep schedule. You're going to crash. It's just not going to go well. And I remember in university during midterms and finals, and there's like high Chinese population at Berkeley, like 44%. I'd be in the library and it'd be packed all of a sudden because it's midterms. I used to go to the library regularly, but during the midterms and finals, it's packed. Hella Chinese kids in there. They're all together and they all got their coffee or what have you. And I would look at them and I would just shake my head. And then here we go, 3 a.m. And you look around, everybody sleep. They sleep, they coffee bottle right next to them. They knocked out. I'm getting it in. I'm reading and I'm just getting into my flow. And part of it is I'm a real introvert. So I like to be alone. And that's one thing I always liked about the late hours is no one's bothering me. No one's calling me, emailing me. No one wants to have a conversation. No one wants my time. No one else's energy in the world. Their sleep is just my energy here. It's pure. It's uninterrupted. And so one, don't poison yourself. I think that'll probably help your spirit. Number two, I think exercising regularly makes you stronger, more vigorous, gives you vitality. And so when you say I work 40 hours a week, that's pretty standard. 6 to 7 hours of sleep, there's nothing wrong with that. 2 hours in the gym, that might be a bit much. You might try to figure out how you can get more out of your gym time to reduce it down to an hour. You say trading / pumping out YouTube content. Okay, cool. You're right. How do I work hard like you with a minimum of sleep? Well, the key is to when people say work hard, I think that kind of suggests some level of difficulty. You really want to focus on how can I do the things that are easiest for me, which is to say the things that are effortless based on your personality, your skill set, your inclination, your natural traits. You see, it's easy for me to do certain things. Like, for example, I can go box a couple rounds and then go about my day. And it doesn't, like before the boxing match, I'm not anxious or nervous. After it, I feel good because throwing hands is something that's inherent to me. I am a savage. Throwing hands feels good. It doesn't feel like a nerve-wracking experience. It feels like a good release. I like to throw hands. Some people, even if they are competent at throwing hands, it's a nerve-wracking experience leading up and during it. So that's not something that's natural to them. So they're not in a state of flow. You want to do things where you're flowing. It's easy. And I'll give you an example of what that means. Flow is the things that you enjoy, the things that are effortless, the things that wake you up, the things that keep you up late at night on a labor of love. For example, I remember one time my mother said to me, and this is important, as you mature, you should be more self-aware. In your immaturity, you're not self-aware. My mother had said one morning, I woke up early. I think I was like 15. She said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to school." Because it was like maybe like, I don't know, like 7:30. Say school starts at 8. I don't even know what time school started, to be honest with you, because I didn't really go on time. And she says, "You're not going to school." I say, yeah, it's school's about to start. I'm on my way to school. She's like, no. You never wake up on time for school. You're going to try to meet up some girl, or you're going to go do X, Y, and Z, but you're not going to school. And I knew that my mother had made a meaningful observation about me as a boy and an adolescent, and she had rightly assessed what was motivating me at that time in life. And when you find something that can get you up early or make you do it for long periods of time, that's not a bad thing. It's not a negative addiction. You do it for long periods of time, and you figure out how to master this thing. That's what you should be investing more time in, because you probably have a competitive advantage, or you have enough interest and natural driving force to get a competitive advantage through mastering that activity. And that's one thing when my mom said that, I said, that's funny that you knew that. And I need to reflect on myself and figure out what I can do with this driving force. So there's that. He writes, work hard like you with minimum of sleep. It's not a minimum of sleep. It's the appropriate amount of sleep. 5 hours is appropriate for me. 4 hours I can deal with. 5 hours is appropriate. So it's not a minimum of sleep. It's what is appropriate. Like, I'm not trying to reduce sleep. That's how much I wanted to sleep. And now we get into work. There have been times in life much earlier when I was building businesses when I wanted to sleep, and I was like, I got to get this work in. And it gets like that, but you should be dedicating that kind of time to something that you're building that is going to have greater meaning. I don't think trading or day trading is that thing, because the market is only open certain hours anyways. And I don't think that you're probably a registered trader to where you're able to trade after hours. So that doesn't really matter. And in terms of pumping out YouTube content, you can do that at any time. And it also does matter when you release it based on your audience and the language that they speak, and also the size of your audience. He writes, is it mental or actual physical? It's both mental and physical. There's a mind-body connection. And that reminds me, I need to add a book to my list. Let me, and mind you, if you guys want to get, what's that? I'm gonna write it down. Yeah. The book is called, I actually did it. What is it? I need to find the title of the book. I can't even remember the title. I actually wrote a review on it. But yeah, there's some great books I can recommend to you, because knowledge is a major key, and you can really only do what you know, right? So you should try to know more. In the description, I believe my Amazon list is linked with a lot of books that have been foundational for me. I didn't put any books to entertain you. I put all books that are raw, hardcore, life-altering knowledge that's going to let you do something differently because you've been filled up with a different kind of fuel.
Okay, we have Keandre sent Bitcoin on Cash App. He said, "Happy holidays, Saints."
Shout out to Keandre. Appreciate it. Happy holidays to you, Saint.
Denise said,
and he's consistent. Shout out to the real. Denise is consistent too.
She said, "For inspiring me to be the best that I can be. Peace to the Saints."
Peace to the Saints. That's so good to hear.
We have Saint Michael is back. He said the game is pristine.
In a real way. Appreciate you.
And
Baller alert. He writes, keep it 100 challenge going strong. Peace to the Saints. Salute from Rotterdam. Is that in Netherlands?
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Rotterdam or Netherlands?
Well, we were in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
we were talking about Rotterdam.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I have a friend in Rotterdam, actually. She was recommending that we get outside of Netherlands. Yeah. Or Netherlands, as they say it.
Carry on.
Well, Saints, it has been truly a pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you. Let us end with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable. And I am going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Until next time, peace to the Saints.